see. All right. The name of the Father and Son, the Holy Spirit, one God. Today is a very important Sunday of the Great Lent, and maybe the Coptic year overall. The born blind, man, it's a complete change. It's a complete change from some insignificant nobody to a preacher and a servant that is ready and willing to put his life on the line for the ministry. Jesus said about him that the works of God will be revealed in him. Let's see how the works of God profoundly change his life. And also, let's understand what happened so the works of God might also change ours, just like changed his. First of all, who is that person? Who is that born blind? Any man, any human being who doesn't know Jesus Christ is blind. He is born blind. An old dying creation. Let's see. This man has been always for his life trapped in this eternal prison of darkness. He sees nothing. He doesn't see daylight. He doesn't see stars. He doesn't know what the moon looks like, what the sun looks like. He doesn't see colors. He doesn't know colors. He doesn't know what's white, what's red, what's black. These things, just a bunch of question marks to him. He is so dependent. He needs someone to take him here, to bring them there, to buy him this, to feed him, to do whatever. He can't see. He's sitting right there, probably, I don't know, maybe begging for money, for just whatever, give him something, or food, or whatever it is. Anyway, we can see that he is like, he's a nobody. He's insignificant. He's nowhere to be seen or be considered. And here, only here, where Jesus interfered, where God appeared in his life and changed his life dramatically, 180 degrees. Let's see how it happened. Let's see how Jesus Christ worked with him, hand in hand, because he also worked. He did something. Not only, so it was only God doing things. He did something. So how did they both work together to change this man from a nobody to something here we're going to see in the future? 4 steps happen today. Step number one is commandment. So Jesus started off with giving him a commandment that doesn't make any sense. He said to him, go wash in the pool of Siloam. And just let's try to understand. Let's ask Jesus, what are you trying to achieve here, Jesus? Why did you tell him, go wash in the pool of just why did you just heal him on the spot? Why do you have to give commandments, and why do you always have to make our lives miserable? Let's put it this way. Can't you see he's blind? He can't even make it to this pool on his own. He still needs help, at least to go there. He still needs to ask for a favor. Just heal him on the spot. Make his life easy. But he always have to, do all these things and give us something complicated to do, something that doesn't make any sense. And once you receive the commandment, you have one of two options. Usually, like I said, if you think about it, it just doesn't make any sense. There are so many pools around. Why this pool in particular? You can put a million questions here before you do it or you don't do it. When we are first given a commandment, usually it's illogical and it doesn't make any sense. And here you have one of two options. Now you don't understand the purpose. You're given a commandment. You either obey the commandment even without understanding for a time being, knowing that or believing that you will understand in the future. Or go with the questions. Why? How? What? Convince me? I'm not convinced. I'll let me think about it, and all these things. These are the two options that we have here. God told Abraham in the book of Genesis, get out of your country, from your family, and from your father's house to a land that I will show you. How many questions should be asked here? Why? How? Where? What's the purpose? I'm here very fine. I'm complaining about anything. I'm with my family, with my people, with my friends, with my community, with the language I can speak. Why do I have to leave all that and go where? No answers. It doesn't make any sense. After many years of his life, God returned and told Abraham, okay, now go and offer your son a burnt offering. So I'm just trying to imagine what would have happened if Abraham told his wife, okay, you know what, tomorrow morning I'm taking Isaac to kill him and come back. Why? Because God told me that. You and your God. I'm sure you're smoking something, you're on crack or whatever. You're imagining, you're hallucinating. No, that doesn't happen. You don't kill my son. But God said that to Abraham, go offer your son. A sacrifice on one of the mountains. How many questions, how many legit questions can ask here as a father? Who will do that? What kind of commandment is this? But he did it anyway. God spoke to Jonah and told him, go preach to the Ninevites. Now here we have the opposite. Option number 2. So Jonah sat down and started to think and to reason, what could this be? And the conclusion, that doesn't make any sense. I'm leaving. I'm quitting. And he left. Okay. God said to Peter, Jesus Christ said to Peter, launch into the deep and throw your net for a catch. Now, Peter is a career fisherman. He knows that's a joke. That was in the middle of the day. Fishing happens at night. Fishing happens in the shallow waters near the river bank, not in the deep. So what are you saying? You're not even a fisherman. How can you tell me that? I mean, you give good speeches, you give good talks. That's it. I am the fisherman here. I have the upper words. And that doesn't make any sense. In all these situations, God's commandments didn't make any sense. I still have the two options here. To obey the commandment for a time being, even if it seems illogical, inapplicable or maybe tailored for a parallel universe, not planet reality, or the other option, start asking the questions. That's what I told you. It's not only God or not only Jesus Christ, but the blind man worked hand in hand with him, because when he was given a commandment and he didn't understand why, he chose to do it. Step number 2, enlightenment. So he didn't understand. He took the effort. He found someone to take him to that pool, and he washed. And obviously, the Bible says, or the Gospel says, he came back seeing. The blessing of obeying a commandment that he didn't understand. He came back seeing. But as a matter of fact, it was not just seeing. He came back enlightened. Not just about physical vision. No, there's a spiritual something happened here. Let's compare him, like I said upstairs in a sermon. Let's put him in comparison with the Pharisees. I told you above. He did not see the miracle. They did. He didn't know how powerful it is. They did. He didn't see the change. They did. Normally, if there's anyone here supposed to believe in Jesus Christ, it should be them. Oh, he didn't. He did. Enlightened. He did. He could not read the scripts. He doesn't. How many times you think he heard parts of the Old Testament? Of course, he can't read. How many times in his life he heard somebody maybe reciting or reading something from the Old Testament, and he just happened to, pick a few words here and there? On the other hand, they know it. Page by page, line by line, letter by letter, and word by word. Their job is to copy the Old Testament, is to make copies of it. That's what they do for a living. To write it day and night. They know very well that this thing, this incident, this miracle never happened before. First time ever in history. Nobody has seen that. It's nowhere in the Old Testament. Something unseen before. They know it. They didn't believe. He believed. The one who didn't know the Old Testament believed. And the ones who knew the Old Testament did not believe. He saw through the miracle. He didn't see the miracle. He saw through the miracle. How powerful, how merciful, how benevolent Jesus Christ is. They saw the miracle and they concluded that Jesus is not from God because he's a sinner and he broke the Sabbath. You see the differences? He was a blind made seeing, and they were seeing turned blind. Because he chose to obey something he didn't understand. An enlightened heart is very sensitive to God's messages. He's tuned in. He's in the same wavelength with God's messages. He will receive them, no matter how weak they are. Even the whisper, he will hear the whisper. Let me give you examples, shocking examples. The people we think they are bad, people we think they're evil, they're vile, they're monsters. They have to have the best heart in the scene. This man here, this nobody, is one of them. The thief on the cross is another person. He's a thief, he's a murderer. And he himself admitted on the cross that this is his fair judgment. He deserves to die this terrible death for the evil things, the atrocities he committed. Yet that man had the kindest heart in the scene. He saw Jesus Christ on the cross, totally humiliated, totally defeated, being mocked by every passerby, insulted, spat on, everything. Ashamed. He's shamed. But somehow, in that person, he saw God. Somehow he saw God in that mess next to him. That person that's like dying in maybe a few more minutes is God. And he confessed his sins to him. And then he asked him to remember him in his kingdom. He knew he has a kingdom. That, imagine, that person on the cross has a kingdom. Does he look like a king of any kind? How could he see that? How could he see it? And the hundreds or thousands of people standing down there looking, seeing everything, they didn't see it. Another bad person, the centurion, the pagan Roman centurion who pierced Jesus on the cross. And he saw blood and water gush out of his side. He said, truly, he was the Son of God. What kind of Son of God is that? How could these people receive these messages? These silent messages. Jesus Christ didn't even talk to the centurion. He was dead. He was already dead. He didn't say a single word to him. How could they pick it up? Enlightened people. Well, on the other hand, when your heart is just rocky, you say that, you would never receive the message, no matter how clear and obvious it is. The guards watching Jesus' tomb, the only group of people who witnessed the moment of resurrection live as it happens, with all its glory and greatness, they saw it. They felt the earthquake. They saw the angel. So Jesus, come out! While the stone is there. The result? Did they believe? Normally they would. Normally they would go out preach the word. Actually, they took money. They took money. They were bribed to alter what they saw with their eyes, to alter their testimony, to silence their conscience. And in the military, there's a shame. If you get robbed while you are on guard, or this is your watch and you get robbed, that's a great shame. There's no greater shame in military. So they were bribed to alter their testimony and to bring shame onto themselves. They didn't believe. It's all about the heart. Enlightenment. He returned seeing something. He believed. Step number 3, sacrifice. Jesus didn't lie to us. Jesus didn't hide the truth. He said, in the world you will have tribulations. He said the door is narrow. He said that. And he said, before you follow me, sit down, calculate the costs in Luke 14. Before you build a tower, do your calculation, do your math. Get ready to lose family, to lose ties, to lose connections. Carry your cross and follow after. He said that clear. And that happened today. But you know what? That man was willing to pay the price. He was willing. While his parents turned their back on him, they said, he is of age. Ask him. We don't know. Because why? They said, he's going to get cut off the synagogue. And this has many implications. I will tell you now. Putting him out of the synagogue means social boycott. Nobody talks to him. Economical boycott. He can't buy, he can't sell, he can't trade, he can't do anything. That's why his parents feared the Jews. We don't know. We know that this is our son. Yes, we know that. And we know he was blind and now he's seeing. How it happened? Ask him. He's of age. He can answer for himself. Even his parents sold him out. Turned their back on their child, their kid. How would that feel if your parents turned their back on you? The people, the closest people around you, the people you count on, they betray you. You end up alone. Price. Jesus said that. Get ready to lose family ties. Get ready to lose parents, to lose husbands, wives, children, siblings. Today it happened. He lost his parents. They betrayed him. I told you the other word he told him. Give God the glory. We're going to kill you. If you continue talking about him, if you continue this ministry, if you continue preaching, we will kill you. So, a lot of things here. Put out the synagogue, social boycott, economical boycott, murder, losing family ties, losing parents. He was ready to pay all. He put everything on the line. He was willing to sacrifice. Therefore, step number 4, last step is ministry. The last part of the gospel. Today we had a very long gospel, 41 verses. So that's from 25, verse 25 to verse 40. When he started to preach to the Jews, to the Pharisees, to those scary dudes over there. He didn't bother anyway. He went and he changed. The works of God changed him from a nobody, a blind person born blind, to a bold preacher. He even invited them to believe in Jesus Christ. And he didn't see him, by the way. If you follow the gospel, so far, he didn't see him. He saw him, he saw Jesus after he was done with his ministry. He only heard his voice. And he only received the commandment, just like we do. We hear his voice every day. We have his commandments all over the place. But that was enough. That was enough to make him a servant. And to go and preach and talk to the people, invite them to believe in Jesus Christ, and be willing to sacrifice everything down to your life for that person whom you didn't see yet. Just like us. Well, I've never seen him so far, but his voice was enough. His commandment was enough for us to go out and preach and talk to everybody and invite them to believe in Jesus Christ. And once he was done with his ministry, once we are done with our life on earth, which is a long ministry, he was deemed worthy to see Jesus Christ in person. And he worshipped him. The works of God changed that man from here to here only because he decided to obey a commandment that back in the day it didn't make sense. Go wash in the pool of Siloam. Today also Jesus is given us commandments, and it's up to us to obey the commandment, become enlightened, be willing to sacrifice, do our ministry. So at the end of our life, we'll be deemed to see and be with Jesus Christ. Thank you. Any questions, any comments, any add-ons? Any complaints, anything? Thank you. Glory be to God forever. Amen. So I'm not going to be here in the next 2 Saturdays. I will see you after the Feast of Resurrection. I wish you all a blessed Holy Week. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. And it's a good time to, meditate, return to God, renew some old things, our love again, and then receive the blessing of, these days. I will see you again 3 weeks time.